Let's now bring in Michael Boscu, who's a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, joining us live from Odessa. Good morning again to you, Michael. So what are your expectations for this week? Of course, critical talks taking place, probably getting underway in the next few hours in Riyadh.
Good to be with you, Sally. Well, I can't help but be a bit cynical because it's been a very violent weekend once again here in Ukraine, especially Odessa and Kyiv. So one can't help but be cynical. I think perhaps the Americans have been spending too much time in the desert because they're seeing the mirage of a Russia that is an honest broker to peace, which they're not. In fact, they've been the party that's been slowing down the talks very, very much. And as I said, firing a lot of gunpowder towards Ukraine. I thought, Sally, what was interesting, too, on the list the BBC published was the Russians are apparently, after reviving the Black Sea Agreement in exchange for sanctions. Well, the Ukrainians have disabled the Russian Navy, probably destroying about 1/3 of it early on in the war. And they're actually shipping a lot of grain. It's actually a few blocks away from me, and I see it every day. So that's an interesting item there. Again, let's see whether the parties can come to that crucial point where they can at least, in good faith, promise 30 days of ceasefire, and then things can move from there.
Do you think after today we will get a sense of whether things will move on or not? Because until we've got to this point, the impression has been very much that Russia is not really giving much ground at all, if any ground, if any concessions at all. After today, because there needs to be some negotiation and give and take in order for a ceasefire to be agreed, you would assume. So after today's talks, we'll get a sense of whether Russia is going to do that or not?
I doubt it, and the reason for that is, after listening to Mr. Putin's speech and press conferences, they're playing the typical Kremlin playbook of stretching things out as much as possible, giving them time to perhaps rearm, to rethink their strategy. And the one thing, of course, they're very keen to do is to flush Ukrainian troops out of that Kursk region. That was, a move last summer, which the Ukrainians pretty savvily took to put another kind of chip on the bargaining table. But no, Russia is, I would submit, actually escalating the war at this point. And then you also have the Americans in the middle, as you know, who are publicly praising Mr. Putin, saying that he is an honest broker to peace. I think the Ukrainians have good reason to believe that the Americans may even offer more concessions to Russia without much coming from the Kremlin in return.
OK, well, we will leave it there for now. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us once again, Michael Boscu, for talking to us about your thoughts on those talks.